Students, today we are starting with the topic degrees of comparison. These are short bullet rules or bullet points which will help you to just go through before the exams. As you know, degrees of comparison are of three types: positive, comparative and superlative. Let's begin with the rules. Rule number one. Rule number one, which is clue. Clue means one of the. This one of the appears in the superlative degree. Positive, you begin with very few. Comparative, you begin with than, many other or most other. And superlative, you have the plus adjective. That which I have mentioned, one of the. Let's start off with an example. I'll explain this. This is one of the most interesting stories I have ever heard. Just a second, children. I have ever heard. Here we have the clue, one of the. The first thing you do is you cut one of the. The easiest and the most simplest version in rule 1, rule 2 is always change to comparative. Let's change this to comparative first. This is supposed to be superlative. Let's make it comparative. You copy this as it is. This is cut one of the. Most interesting becomes more interesting. This is more interesting than many other or most other, than many other stories, than many other stories I have ever heard. The next one is positive. I've started that in the beginning by giving you the rule, very few. Very few. Very few stories. Since it is plural, you have to use are. Very few stories are as interesting. Very few stories are as interesting as this one. Positive. Students, I think I'm quite clear. I'm explaining this to you once again. This is one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard. One of the is the clue. Since this is a clue, the next rule to change will be comparative, which is simpler for you. This is more interesting than many other or most other stories I've ever heard, which is comparative. And you begin with very few stories, since it is plural, are as interesting as this one. Students, we have completed rule number 1, which is clue, and now we are going to the second rule, which is rule clueless. What does clueless mean? Clueless means no one of the. We begin the positive degree with no other, comparative degree with adjective plus any other, and third one is the plus adjective superlative. This does not have any clue. The clue, any one of the, is not there in this sentence. It is very simple to identify this sentence. Let us begin with an example. India is the most populated country in the world. Here, we don't have the clue one of the. That means this is clueless. Let us begin the sentence. Like I told you in the earlier one, we begin with we begin with comparative. It is always easy to start with the comparative degree. Let us copy this as it is. India is, you cut the most populated becomes more populated. Is more populated. India is more populated than any other country in the world. This is the comparative degree. Very easy. You just cut the and make most populated into more populated than any other country in the world. This becomes a simpler version of this. And the positive degree begins with no other country in the world is as populated as India. Students, you have understood superlative, comparative and positive. These are the simpler version, no clue, so you just cut the, write more populated, no other country begins the positive sentence. Students, as you all know that I have completed rule number 1 and rule number 2. We are entering into rule number 3. This is the slightly tricky rule. You have to be very careful when you read the sentence. This is known as comparison. Comparison means comparing two people or two things. In this, the comparison is between two people or things. There is only positive degree and comparative degree. There is no superlative degree. Next rule is, one sentence is affirmative, the other sentence becomes negative. Example, the truth is sometimes stranger than fiction. The comparison is made between truth and fiction. Since than is there, this is a comparative degree. You have to change this into positive degree. Like I have told you before, there is no superlative degree for this type of sentence. There is no superlative degree for these type of sentences. I am explaining this to you once again. There is comparison between truth and fiction. Since stranger than, ER, that is an adjective, plus than, this is a comparative degree. So the only change you have to make is to positive degree. There is no superlative degree. Next thing, you have to see whether the sentence is affirmative or negative. Since there are only two sentences, one is affirmative, the other one will be negative. So since this is comparative but affirmative, we have to change this to positive and make it negative. How do you begin this sentence? You will write, bring that fiction in the front. Fiction is not sometimes. Fiction is not sometimes as strange as the truth. This is positive degree. I explain this to you again because this is the most tough type of sentences. The comparison is between two people or two things. One is positive sentence, the other is comparative. There is no superlative at all in this rule. One sentence will be affirmative and the other sentence will be negative. The truth is sometimes stranger than fiction. Stranger is a comparative degree with than. This sentence is affirmative. We have to change it to positive, but at the same time you have to make the sentence negative. You have to bring fiction in the front. Fiction is not sometimes as strange as the truth. Children, with this we complete all the three rules: clue, clueless and comparison. According to me, this is known as C cube. There are plenty of examples which I have already done with you in class, in your worksheet as well as in PPT.